I finally decided to retire my Crankbrothers M17 bike tool. And I did decide to replace it with the lighter and seemingly more versatile Wolftooth 8-bit kit stackable tool system. Now this seems like an ideal upgrade, right? But is the steep price tag worth it? Who the heck is Wolftooth? Will this thing hold up on the abuse dished out on hundreds of miles of single track trail? And are 25 different tools a little bit overkill? These are some of the questions that I hope to answer in today's video. So let's get rolling. Today is another installment of my gear review series. If you haven't had a chance yet, go check out my other videos in the series. I've reviewed a rock solid carbon wheel set from Light Bicycle, a bikepacking focused gravel bike from Canyon Bikes, and a frame bag from Dispersed Bikepacking Gear. Everything I review I've purchased with my hard-earned money to ensure I can continue to provide unbiased product reviews for you. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button to stay up to date on all my newest gear review videos. Now, I am a Wolftooth Components fanboy, and I originally got hooked by their drop stop chain rings back in 2019. The chainring was just the gateway drug for me. I've since purchased their B-Rad mounting base, dropper seat post bag adapter, dropper lever, center rotor lock rings, various round and elliptical chain rings, and most recently, this magnetic stacking tool system, which I had a chance to test out on the abusive Arizona trail race this past year. Today, I'm going to share with you the features and quirks about this system. But first, it's brief history lesson time. The Wolftooth story started back in 2013 in Burnsville, Minnesota by three dudes, Mike Pfeiffer, Brendan Moore, and Dan Detmer, all mechanical engineers. They are avid cyclists, and their front derailleurs didn't work very well in the harsh, snowy climate. So as engineers do, they solved the problem. They converted their bikes to one-by systems and developed a narrow wide chain ring to prevent chain drop. Their passion for innovation, incredibly high quality machinery, attention to extremely tight tolerances, and superior raw materials were the recipe for their success over the last decade. What started as chain rings is now a vast catalog of innovations and products that are pushing the industry forward. This stackable multi-tool is part of Wolftooth's 8-bit system, where they currently offer individual tools for sale or kits with various tool combination options. I purchased the 8-bit kit 2, which cost $104.96 during a sale. The set weighs 178 grams, including a valve stem, tire plugs, curved sewing needle, and a quick link. The dimensions when stacked are 6 inches by 1 inch by 3/4 of an inch, and it's made out of 7075-T6 aluminum handles, CRV tool steel swivel head, and S2 tool steel bits. And the tire lever is high strength nylon composite. Now, the only difference between the 8-bit 1 kit and 8-bit 2 kit is the tire lever tool. The 1 kit has a tire lever with a rim dent remover, and the 2 kit has a tire lever with a rotor truing tool and 8mm flare wrench. Since I run carbon wheels on all my bikepacking bikes, I didn't really see the value in the rim dent remover and would rather have the rotor truing tool. This kit includes 25 different tools, which range from your standard bits and chain breaker tool to less commonly needed tools like quick link pliers and a retractable utility knife. The maximum torque for the larger 8mm hex bit is 40 Newton meters, while the 4, 5, and 6mm hex bits and Torx bits are 20 Newton meters. All the other bits max out at 10 Newton meters. This is a true all-in-one solution, except for an extra tube and air, either in the form of a mini pump or CO2. This is literally everything you're ever going to need to make trailside repairs, packed into the smallest, lightest package. It is so impressive how everything has been meticulously thought out and strategically placed. My previous kit consisted of a Pedro's tire lever, Crankbrothers M17, and Lezine plug kit, which all came in at around 238 grams, and it takes up more dimensional area than the 8-bit 2 kit. I always avoided carrying pack pliers, thinking I would never really need them, and that came back to bite me one day on an endurance race, which ultimately inspired me to invest in this toolkit for a do-it-all solution. It's made in the USA, like most of Wolf Tooth's components. I'm guilty of purchasing cheap eBay knockoffs, but in the long run, this just doesn't pay off. I think of it like a long-term investment, not just buying a short-term tool. Spending a little more with a company like Wolf Tooth encourages more innovation and better products. As I understand economics more, I'm realizing how detrimental it can be when a company spends significant time and money to develop a unique product and businesses overseas just straight up steal the design and resell it back to the US consumers through retailers like eBay and Amazon. For me, in this globalized economy, supporting local now means buying products made in the USA. I'm assuming Wolf Tooth has to outsource some of their products, like their lithic carbon fork and most of their dropper post components, but everything is engineered in Minnesota and a significant amount of their catalog is manufactured there. Speaking of the dropper post, they've managed to create the world's first self-bleeding dropper. How cool is that? Companies like Bike Yoke have come close to this with an easy bleeding feature on their Revive dropper, but it still will develop that dreaded squishy seat sag, and you still have to bleed it. I haven't had a chance to test the Wolf Tooth Resolve dropper yet, but I'd be willing to wager it's one of those components I'd just put on my bike and forget about it because it just works so well. The materials and manufacturing are durable, solid, and reliable. Before I decided to invest in this kit, I got cheap and bought this Topeak power lever. And first thing out of the box, I broke the little plastic ends off the Master Link side. I flushed that $15 down the toilet. I know this won't happen with the Wolf Tooth pliers. So far, I've removed and replaced pedals with the 8mm wrench and been able to tighten them up with confidence and use the bits numerous times, and they show no signs of wear or fatigue. The Master Link pliers work perfectly with my 11 and 12 speed chains, but they are not compatible with Campagnolo 12 speeds. Lastly, I love that they place a priority on their right to repair philosophy. This means they offer replacement parts for most of their products, including pedals, dropper, remote lever, headsets, tools, seat post clamps, B-rad system, and more. So if I lose or break a small part on my toolkit, I can easily find a replacement part instead of having to buy a new set. Again, this is why I would pay more upfront for the longer term. You're not going to get this with knockoff tools. It's got a pretty high price tag. If you can't get the tool on sale like I did, it may be difficult for some to justify the retail cost of $140 for a bike tool. You could definitely piecework most of the tools together for less. Crankbrothers M17 for $27, an unbranded plug kit is $11, tire levers for a few bucks, and knockoff pliers for $11, all totaling more than half the cost of the 8-bit 2 kit. Now you'll lose a few things like the utility knife, add overall weight and bulk, and you'll be trailside gambling on the quality and usability of the knockoff items. One of the biggest issues I've had with this system is the small, dark colored bits. Picture this. I'm racing the Arizona Trail 300. I'm 12 hours into the first day and absolutely barbecued from the record-breaking heat on that day. I've made it to Kentucky Camp at mile 78, and I'm having trouble walking due to extreme leg cramping. I want to adjust my seat post a little bit to try and help with the leg cramping. So I pull out my 8-bit kit and spend the next 10 minutes fumbling in the dim on and off motion sensor light, trying to find the right bit. And when I do, my shaking hands accidentally drop the darkly colored bit in the dirt. And just like that, it's gone. Like an overly zealous antlion ate it up.
The antlion toys with its prey, maneuvering the ant into position to administer the killer bite.
I cautiously searched and eventually found and recovered the bit, but I was so frustrated at this point. This is a downside to having such a small, compact tool. Another issue I found with the bits is they're a bit finicky and difficult to get out of the magnetic slots that hold them inside. It took me a while to figure out that they opened a hole in the back to help with this problem. You can press in and it raises the middle bit enough to get your fingers around it, then it's easier to access all the other bits. Also, when you've been riding for a few days with minimal sleep, have nerve damage on your hands, it's dark and cold, and all you have is a small headlight, it can be difficult to figure out which bit is which size, where the Crankbrothers style tool is in numerical order. The last thing I'll say about this system is although the magnetic closures and magnetic nesting system is really cool, it's not going to hold together on its own while being battered and bruised for days bikepacking. Things will eventually open up, get lost, and bolts will loosen unless you secure it properly in your bags. So make sure you throw some redundant rubber bands or Velcro around it and maybe pop it in somewhat of a padded pouch, then secure it and place it in your bags where it's not gonna flop around. So what's my overall verdict? Is it worth the extra $87 for 60 grams of weight savings, a smaller compact package, and additional tools that you may never use? This is the typical question for almost everything in the bike industry, and I can't exactly answer it for you since it depends on your individualized situation. I got the tool when they were running a special for a pretty good deal for just over $100. So yeah, for me, for bikepacking, where I'm on this never-ending quest to make things more redundant, smaller, and lighter, and I really have no other hobbies to speak of, yeah, it was worth it, for sure. Although the tool may not be quite as convenient as the Crankbrothers style tool, it does get the job done. Because of the extreme attention to detail, high quality materials, and access to accessories and replacement parts, it could be the only tool I need for decades to come. If you're willing to invest a little bit more of your hard-earned money in a top quality product and company that is pushing the bike industry forward, then yeah, buy this tool. You won't regret it. Well, that wraps up this installment of my gear review series. Have you had any good or bad experiences with any Wolf Tooth products? If so, leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear about the experience. I hope you found this video helpful, and as always, remember to plan, pack, and pedal.